Today I have two lectures to make, one in English and one in French. The one in English and the one in French will be different. I will tell different stories. For example, for the first one in English, what I will discuss is that the language is important for imagination and innovation. And I will introduce a new culinary trend called node-by-node cuisine, or cooking. This is very new. Molecular cuisine is completely over, so please be ready for the future. The next one will be in particular how to make innovation in the industry. For both of them, I will do my best. So perhaps there will be some, what they call it, evaluation of the teachers. I do my best. Please, if you have any question at any time, don't leave me alone on my way. Ask questions. For example, I remember very well, I was invited to lecture at the École Normale Supérieure in Lyons. At the beginning, the students told me, you know, in this place, we are asking many questions. But I told them, there should be no questions. So it's my duty to be clear, because it's the politeness of the people who speak in public. Okay? So, but anyway, if I'm not clear, please raise your hand at any time. I will stop, I will try to explain, I will do my best as usual. Now, we have to move in. So the question is innovation. I hate this word. The question is imagination. I hate this word. I know only one, which is work. Okay? So imagination, rules for innovation, I don't trust this idea. I will try to demonstrate this fact, okay? So now you will have a PowerPoint plus experiments and a guy moving and speaking in front of you. Generally, the words are important because for this lecture, the rule is the words are important. And I will try to explain. So you see there is a beautiful sea and there is a text. I agree that the contrast between the yellow text and the blue of the sea is not perfect. It's difficult to read. It is on purpose. I did it on purpose. So that you have to look carefully. What did you write on the PowerPoint? And I wrote, let us speak in order to invent. Okay. Now let's move to, you see, this is an introduction. So I have to be entertaining. If I were boring, imagine the guy who is coming in front of the students saying, today, I'm very happy. I will discuss the question of innovation. This is very important for the industry. Everybody is sleeping. You know, it's a difficult exercise because we are after lunch, and many of you had too much pastas, and you are fed up, and you are sleeping, in particular at the end of the amphitheater. Anyway, so we have to smile a little, but please be careful. When I'm smiling, there is some meaning behind. Okay. Now, this is what I could do. I'm able to do that. It is boring, so let's skip immediately to something different. In the academic circles, there is a big idea, and this big idea is in French there. I can translate if you don't understand French. It is said, when you are doing pure science, you see pure. It means that there is impure. Okay, but pure science, and when there is no money involved, for ESSEC, no money involved, it's very strange, but anyway, then you can make a lot of application, which mean innovation. Is it true? Of course, if I say, is it true, it means no. Okay. Generally, this is communication, but I will try to do it again. Anyway, look carefully. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. You can go back. It was the first half of the experiment. This was an experiment. Now let's do the second half of the experiment. Look carefully. Hello, my name is HervéThis. Pleased to meet you. Adrian, nice. Okay. What's your name? Adrian. Adrian. Yeah. Okay. This is the second part of an experiment that we have to do. So I need your help. please, would you accept to stand up, to be here, and to go towards this place? No, not so fast. Thank you, it's done. What is the idea behind? The idea is that if you don't say anything in advance, people are going, but not reluctantly. She was coming anyway. But you know, what are we doing? And then, on the contrary, if you say in advance what you are going, then some. So I have to make a summary. But a summary is boring because if I tell you in advance what we are going to see, wow, what's the use of staying? So what is, we are now voting. Who wants to vote for this particular boring summary? We want surprise. Surprise? Okay. And no, I will stick to it. So let's go back. This was communication, not imagination. But anyway, you know, when you lecture, you can do as everybody standing and saying, I'm very happy to be there at ESSEC, which is a Grande Ecole. You are wonderful students, and you are going to, no. So let's move. Cooking. So, you know, my specialty is not cooking. I'm a chemist, okay? But you know that you don't catch flies with something that is not sweet. I don't know the translation of this proverb in English. In French, we say we don't catch flies with vinegar. We need sugar. So I need to catch you flies, okay? So the best thing, but not after lunch. Generally, the best thing is food. Food or sex. Sex sells very well. But, you know, I'm getting old, so food is probably better. Big. Okay, I'm still active, but anyway. Because I found a new idea. You know, there is a wonderful scientific magazine called PNAS. It's the proceeding of the National Academy of Sciences. And in the PNAS, 3 years ago, it was published that H2S, which is a small compound, H2S is hydrogen sulfide. Hydrogen sulfide is more active than Viagra. And when you cook eggs, if you smell the odor of cooked eggs, this is H2X. So when you are going to the bar asking for a sandwich and you have these slices of hard-boiled egg with green color and awful sulfur smell, for sex it's good. Anyway, so let's move to cooking. So now I will show you very fast a lot of pictures just to show you that there is a possibility of making new food. All these dishes were new. I will not explain at the beginning. I will explain at the end. So the names are sometimes traditional. Sometimes, for example, Iweek is the name of a German chemist, you see? And this part of food has been called Iweek. I invented the Iweek, okay. Also the foie gras chantilly. I invented this new salad. This is a must at Las Vegas restaurants nowadays. This one is not a chemist, it's the name of the Alsatian village. This one is, you see, you can read, abstract number 2. I will explain. This one is hydrolysis, so I gave the name of a new invention, the name of chemistry. Because public generally hate chemistry. For you, chemistry means pollution, explosion, awful smells, what else? Oh yes, probably. No, it's awful anyway. And what I will try to demonstrate is not true. Okay. So in order to demonstrate that it is not true, I give the name of chemistry to a new dish, like mayonnaise. People eat it and say, wow, very good. What is good? Hydrolysis. Okay. Velour sauce. This is by the way, this dish that I invented was done by Pierre Gagnère. Most of them were done by Pierre Gagnère, who is probably the best chef of the world. Okay. And this is lobster, and this is a velour sauce. I will not explain this sauce. It will be next session. Shitao, some of you come from Asia. Shitao was a famous writer, and he made a treaty of painting. Wow, painting and chemistry, what's the relationship? It is part of the demonstration of today. What is the relationship between painting and chemistry? Wirth was a chemist, Rolling Stones is not a chemist, of course. This is a wonderful dessert. I can give you the recipe if you ask me. This dish, the name of the dish is a formula. People hate mathematics, but this dish has a name of a formula. Now, this one is the end of the lecture about note-by-note cuisine. Okay. Now, let's discuss this question of cooking. You see, I used the word analyze, and there is a picture of a boat. There is a reason, of course. Why do I put a picture of a boat when I say, let's analyze? The reason behind is that analysis in Greek means throw the ropes. And you have to raise the ropes in order to throw them. And this is analysis. So when you analyze something, it means that you raise the ropes in order to sail. New idea. Now, what is cooking? Of course, when you cook, you do something, which is technique, which means you do. Techne in Greek. This guy is a technician. He's producing lots and lots of food. Okay. But you see, this is technique also. And I guess that nobody here is able to make this wonderful roof, because it is so difficult. And the same for this bridge. This bridge is now 2 millennia old, and it still stands. How is it possible? So these guys were very good technicians, and the same for this cake. Okay. Now, for the chefs, for the cooks, to be careful is very important. Why is it important to be careful? I invite you to have this idea. In order to recognize something, please look at the contrary. So this is not careful. But imagine that you have your friends on the staircase. They will probably fall and break their legs, which means I don't love you. So careful means I love you, and not careful means I don't love you. And if you make a report for your boss or for ESSEC, please be careful, use colors and so on, because it means I love you. Otherwise, and you have a 0 mark. Okay. Now the question of art. When you cook, you have to do something that is good. But good, it is beautiful to eat. Okay. I invite you to look at this picture because it is a very, very important picture for art. This picture was done by Leonardo da Vinci, and this picture means something. The spine behind. Anyway, do you have a spine? What is your spine? Because he said, this guy is friendly. He's smiling, first row, everything all right. He says, yes, I have a spine. What is your spine? No. Please think of the realm of brain. What is your intellectual spine? This is a question for all of you. What is your, for me, the intellectual spine is chemistry über alles. Not über alles because it's too much, but chemistry, let's say. What is your spine? Creativity. We have to think about creativity. Who has a spine? Do you have a spine? No? Nobody? You have a spine? No? No. You have a spine? No? And you? No? And you? No spine. Where are you there? Because there was some light and probably some centroliter. What is your spine? Sorry? Sport?
Private.
It's private. Okay. It's all right. I respect, of course. And you? You don't know? Okay. And you? Oh, no, he's not. He's sleeping. Okay. What is your spine? You have, no, she's sleeping also. No, she's answering the email, so sorry. Anyway, this is a question. What is our spine? Okay. Here there is a spine behind the painting. Leonardo da Vinci said, I wanted to show that animal and human beings look like when they fight. And when you look at the face of the guys on the horses, they have the same expression. So indeed, before beauty, you need probably a spine. Okay, let's move to this one. Here the spine was very different. The style is different. And the style, you know, there is a famous naturalist called Buffon. Buffon said, the style is the guy. So you have to know your own style in order to know who you are. And in this way, you will be an artist. Okay, this is from Dürer. So now, how is it important to look at art in technique? For example, remember it was the abstract number 2 dish. I will explain. For many centuries, when paintings were painting beautiful things, they were representing. So you see, you can represent the barb, the nose, the ears, the sun, and so on. And suddenly, in 1912, there was a guy, and this guy, Kandinsky, proposed to avoid representation. So in this painting, I love it. It's beautiful for me. Of course, some of you will say, I don't like it. Some others will say, I love it. But anyway, it's interesting. There is no representation. So you cannot see a tree, a house, a horse, and so on. But you can do the same with cooking. And this is why my invention of abstract cooking. The idea, you produce a dish. When you eat it, you say, wow, wonderful taste. And when you ask the consumer, what do you perceive? He cannot say anything. He cannot say, I recognize the nutmeg or the basil or the tomato. And this was the first abstract dish of the history of cooking. It was produced by Pierre Gagnère. It's very difficult to make. But anyway, you have a possibility of using something outside the field of chemistry to put it inside the field of cooking, and you make a new trend. Okay. So you see, a trend is something interesting. By the way, as a chemist, science and art have nothing in common. But do you know what science is? Do you know what science is? I mean, physics, chemistry, and biology. Do you know what it is? No? Okay, so I have to explain. And this is, of course, there, because I knew that you did not know. Okay? For those who have a belief in God, I'm very happy to show you this picture, because this picture is the idea of scientists in the Middle Age. In the Middle Age, you could have a faith in God and be a scientist at the same time, because the message, the voice of God was given in two parts, nature and the Bible, or the Quran, or the Talmud, or what you want. Okay. And the scientists were people who were trying to decipher nature in order to know what God wanted to tell us. Okay? Now, Albert Einstein said science has to lift up a corner of the great veil. This is my blanket, so my picture is not very good, but anyway. So in order to understand what science is, because we need science to know what science is in order to explain innovation. If you base on innovation, then innovation is easy. No, if you base innovation on science, then innovation is easy. This is the motto of today, okay? So what is science? People, scientists, are moving around the world, and suddenly they look at a mountain, okay? And they ask the question, why is there a mountain? Because at Cergy-Pontoise, there is no mountain, even if you look carefully. So why, at some places, is there a mountain? So the scientists have an idea, and this idea is based on Galileo Galilei. This idea, it's in French, but I will translate. You have to prefer experiment to any authority argument. Even if this guy, who will be a president of his country, says it is so, the scientists say no. I will try to make an experiment in order to check it. Okay? This is the first step of science. Make an experiment against any idea. The second part is you have to love calculation. The scientists have the faith, and the faith is not in God, the faith is the word is written in mathematical language. So if you don't like mathematics, please don't be a scientist. I assume that you are at ESSEC, it means that you don't want to make this kind of studies. So my love, my passion is for mathematics, so, and activity. Now we come to this picture. This picture is a beautiful picture by the painter David. And the guy is Lavoisier. Lavoisier was the founding father of chemistry. I will translate slowly the introduction of his discourse. The impossibility to distinguish words from science and science from words is related to the fact that any science is based on facts, ideas, and words. In order to study the mountain, you need the idea of the mountain. In order to study the mountain, you need the word mountain. And Lavoisier concludes, as words keep the idea and allows the manipulation of the transmission, you need to improve the science to improve the language, and improve the language to improve the science. So you cannot be a good scientist if you don't speak well. And this is why I hate speaking English, because my language is French. And probably, when I'm doing science at the lab, it's in French. At the end, I can translate in English, but not at the beginning. Now, I will insist, as you see. This is the preliminary discourse of Lavoisier. He is quoting a guide called Condillac. Please, if you have 1 minute free time, look at Wikipedia on Condillac, read Condillac. It's absolutely wonderful. And Condillac says, we think only with words. Words are so important that if you are using the right words, then you will have the right thoughts, and then you will get innovation. So now the method of science is the following. You look at a mountain, you make measurements, there are a lot of data, you synthesize, you produce a theory, and please, you have to know that any theory is wrong. In science, we are producing wrong theories that we are trying to improve. How do we improve? We make a conclusion. The conclusion, we test it with an experiment, and we try to refute the theories. So the scientists are very strange people. They are moving around the world. They are looking at funny things, mountain, blue sky, for example, art shoes, brilliant things, and so on. And we ask questions, silly questions. Why is there a mountain? Why is the sky blue? Why are the shoes brilliant? We do experiments. We are not paid very much. So you see my clothes are very old, but anyway. And at the end, we try to produce a theory that we want to refute ourselves. So these people are crazy. By the way, there is no scientific demonstration. There will be never any scientific demonstration. It is not possible by principle. You can only refute, not demonstrate. So if you hear at the radio, it was scientifically demonstrated that, be sure that the journalist is wrong. Okay? Now, in my life, mountains, I don't care. The blue sky, I don't care. My life is at the lab, and at my lab, we study cooking. So we have culinary books. We open, and we have wonderful things. And this is why in 1988, we created a new science called molecular gastronomy. And the molecular gastronomy cares about soufflé. You know, soufflé can rise in your oven, or when you grill a steak, it turns brown, and so on. And now, for example, we apply exactly the same. So we look at a soufflé. At that time, there were a theory. For example, soufflé expand because air bubble expand with heat. We apply a small relationship, mathematics. These laws can predict that you can swell by 30%. And it is not true, because a soufflé can be doubled, 200%. So I measured the pressure, the temperature in soufflé, and finally I discovered that soufflé expands because water evaporation. And 1 gram of water makes 1 liter of steam. So if you evaporate water here, it will push the layers up. So this was a new theory, waters evaporate, okay? And now I can tell you how to make 40 liters of soufflé with only 40 grams. Very easy, okay? But you know, this is an innovation because it's a different soufflé, okay? So now I will skip this one, but my goal in life is not innovation. I don't care about innovation. I hate innovation. You know, science should never look at innovation. we have only to explain the mechanism of phenomena. By the way, applied sciences is a big mistake. The tree is not the fruit, and the fruit is not the tree. If you are doing science, it's not applied. It's never applied. If it is applied, it's technology. It's no longer science. Okay? So my goal is to find a treasure, but the treasure is not money. It's new knowledge about molecular gastronomy. And you see, you have physics, chemistry, physical chemistry at the border, food science there, molecular gastronomy there at the middle, and all the application, and this is the place for innovation, are pharmacy, cooking, cosmetics, metallurgy, candles, and so on. Okay? So it's clear, my life is there, at the lab, not there. But I will try to show you that it is very, very easy, even if you stay there, to invent and to innovate. So now let's begin after showing what we do at the lab. At the lab, for example, for now 10 years, we are studying carrot stocks. You know, the taxpayer in France is paying for a full lab studying for 10 years carrot stocks. Do you think that it is legitimate? Can you raise your hand if you say yes, okay, it's all right? Nobody? So probably some of you sleep and the others are thinking, who thinks that it is not legitimate? Because people who are thinking that it is legitimate plus the other should make the maximum. So you think that it is unfair, okay? Yes, but you're right. I mean, you're right to think that. I'm not sure that you're right to think that it is legitimate. Because, you know, I'm a very good citizen in France. If I decide to study carrot stocks, it means that I have a big reason to do it. Because I'm doing it in spite of people like you saying, no, no, you should do that. So now I have to explain why it is important. So let's explain. So at the lab, we cook carrot stocks. So we put carrots in water, and this is the reflux column, so the steam is going up, it is cooled, and finally it goes back. We use a very expensive machine, between 300,000 euros and 500,000 euros for carrot stocks, remember. Huh? And we analyze this thing, so we take very small samples, and it takes 5 days to analyze one sample of carrot stocks. Okay. I mean, 5 days, it means the staff, electricity, the building, my salary, which is low, and anything. Now, what we get this kind of thing. But after many years, we can understand what means every peak. We call that a peak, okay? And we realize that the carrot stock is made of water, sugar, and amino acids, which are nutriments. This is what we recognize as glucose, malic acid, sucrose, fructose, and so on. How could it be useful for application? Well, it could be useful because I could decide to put glucose, malic acid, and, for example, fructose in water and to produce some new food. Because if it is there in a carrot stock, I could do it. So you see, the application is very fast. Now, what we realize, serendipity means you discover something by pure luck, but you are able to grasp the thing at the moment. One day, the students, PhD students, were doing a carrot stock. And this one was orange, the color was orange. No, this was orange, and this was brown. It is impossible. It was the same carrot, cut into 2 parts, in pure water, cooked for the same time, at boiling temperature, which is 100 Celsius degree. How is it possible that this one was orange and this one was brown? I stopped the lab, everybody, and say, guys, we don't understand, and there is a possibility to make a big discovery. So for 3 months, everybody in the lab, so not only me, all the lab stopped to study this question. And finally, we discovered that of course, the color was changing, but there is no reason that the carrot gives the orange color to the stock. So, indeed, the pigments are not soluble into water. So how is it possible to have this color? So finally, we measure the color. So this is our daily life. We measure the color with a small colorimeter, let's say. And we see this measurement, and you see after 10 days, the color is not changing any longer. Okay. Of course, we try to understand the chemistry behind, and we understand the chemistry behind, and finally, we discovered that the only difference between the two is that this one is not receiving a lot of light, just light like this, and this one is receiving more light. And now we discovered, it was a discovery, that if you put light on a carrot stalk, it turns brown. And this is very important for chefs, because the chef wants the brown color. So generally what they do, they grill an onion, they put an onion in the frying pan, and they put in the carrot stalk to get it brown. It is completely useless. You just need light. So finally, studying a silly question, trying to investigate some pure science, we got an immediate application for all chefs of the world. So now, we're thinking that it was unlegitimate to study carrot stalks? No? Okay, so let's go. Of course, we make the calculation behind. I will skip that. So we go on studying these kinds of things. Why do we make a carrot stalk? So there are channels in carrots, and we are trying to make models. This is our daily life. So let's skip to innovation. This is my life. All day long, we have curves, spectra, and wonderful things that you ate probably. Now, gels. Recently, I had the idea that, a human body, even you, I mean, let's assume that she is the most beautiful girl of the amphitheater. Why not? Because beauty is in your eye, not in beauty itself, okay? Even the most beautiful girl of this amphitheater is a gel. Because the definition of a gel is water trapped into a solid. And if you look, you know that you are full of water. But if you look, there is no water around. So it is a gel. It is called a gel. Food is mostly made of gel. So this is the microscopy of a shallot or an onion, let's say. When you look, you small bags full of water. This is a gel. This is meat. Meat are fibers, and these fibers are full of water and proteins. So it is a gel. Okay. But this one is a gelatin gel. You see, when you use some jelly, this is, with the microscope, what you can see is that this is a protein, and inside you have water. So it is a gel. When you have this hard-boiled egg, this is a gel, the same kind, proteins trapping water. By the way, you remember the awful sulfur smell. This is very interesting for the night life. Okay, it is a gel again. And realizing that all food was a gel, you remember the 5 days of analysis. Now it can take 10 minutes. So you see again a new demonstration, just taking care of what we do, suddenly you can make innovation in science or outside science. Okay, so now, of course, you are speaking about food. So the question of food is, it's good. If it's bad, it's not food because nobody eats it. So remember, recently I decided to cross the street with an onion in my pocket. I was going to a friend. The friend has a wonderful NMR machine in the hospitals. We cut the onion in 4 parts, and we got this picture. See, this is an MRI picture of an onion, okay? Perhaps some of you will think this guy is crazy. Generally, we cure people with MRI, not onions. Is it important to put an onion in an MRI machine? And the answer, you will see, of course, is yes. We had this picture. What you see in this picture is the onion is made of shells. Okay, we know that. What I wanted to see are these small channels, but you don't care. But what you do see first is this white part. There was no explanation for this white part. So the next day, I went with another onion, and we had another picture. And we realized that the white part is very important because when you cut an onion, the knife, the blade, is pressing the tissue. And it turns the onion brown, like the apple that has been cut, or the banana, or the avocado. This is not important for this dish, but it is very important for this one. And you know, the French chef knows that the Japanese and the Chinese chef make a wonderful cuisine using a very good ceramic blade. Because in a ceramic blade, you don't press the tissue, you separate the tissue, and you don't have the full taste. So you see, making an MRI picture was a way to demonstrate that the Chinese chef or Japanese are right to use a good blade. And now we know. So now we can decide to always have a very good knife. Okay? Now you see the difference. The onion has been cut with a poor blade, occidental, and with a Chinese blade, ceramic. And you see the difference. And here are the chemical reaction behind. Okay. So this is science, and this is why molecular gastronomy is probably important, and why we do it at the lab daily with electricity, salaries, building, and everything. Now, technology. So we move to innovation now. It's the beginning of the story of innovation. The technology, you can read, is a work of engineers. Okay, and this is a book made entirely on innovation. It's in French. What I propose you to look at, because you will not be in this field, you will be out, when you will be in a company, probably, you will be outside this technical field. And you will have probably know that in a factory, you have people that do the thing, technicians. Scientists are outside the company. They are in the universities or research centers. But in your companies, you will have engineers. And engineers are people who are paid to improve the technique. So there are two possibilities. Either they just look. For example, imagine that the worker is turning the machine like this. It's the left hand. And the engineers say, oh, probably it will be better with the right hand because you are right-handed. This is technology. You improve technique with no science. Another possibility is you go in science because you are trained to that. Here you take some new knowledge and you put it back in the factory. And then you have what I call global technology. So I see two different technology, local or global. Okay. This is local technology. You see in the Middle Age when you roasted a chicken, you roasted a chicken. It takes 1 hour. Of course, you can flirt, but it takes 1 hour any longer. And suddenly, someone invented the shell, which is a reflector, and instead of 1 hour, it cooked in 30 minutes. So it was an improvement. Okay? This is local. Now, I show this whisk. You know, the whisk has been invented in the Middle Age. In the Middle Age, when you were whipping an egg white, of course, let's whip an egg white. I think I can do it. Here is water. I will make the equivalent of an egg white because I don't have egg white. You know, eggs can break. If they break, it means that they are poor products. So in this box, I have a powder. This powder was produced probably 10 or 20 years ago. They are the proteins of egg white. I can keep them for one life long, so they don't spoil. They don't. So I put. Remember, in an egg white, you have 10% proteins plus 90% water. So I will add 10% proteins. Okay. Now, in the Middle Age, the whisk were not whisked like this. They were only threads, and you were whipping. Okay. But when you were moving the whip up, then everything was in your nose. So a genius had the idea to close the whip, and this is an improvement. Okay. So now we have to whip. Okay. I will put some more water, probably. So we whip. What does it mean? It means that you introduce air bubbles inside the liquid, and there is a foam. So you see the air bubbles. By the way, when you calculate the quantity of foam that you could get, I calculated years ago that from one egg, you can make 1 cubic meter of whipped egg white. 1 meter by 1 meter. And the world record was won last month. Children, 14 years old, could make more than 40 liters in practice from one egg. So this is a challenge that I am giving to ESSEC. Can you
more than 14 years old children? Okay, so you whip, and you get the foam, and this foam is called a whipped egg white. But now, this whip was invented a long time ago. What is the goal? The goal is to put air bubbles inside the liquid. And we have machine for that. So in 2002, I invented this machine. In this machine, you inject egg white, you inject air, and in the end, you get a whipped egg white. But the same machine, if you inject egg yolk, vinegar, and oil, you get a mayonnaise. And this is good. So you play with pumps, and it took 1/2 of a day to use pumps to make these microreactors together. And we use the formula, and at the end of the morning, we had this dish, which was the first dish of the history of humankind that was done after a formula by machine. But look at this. Now imagine you have to put a computer, and the computer is driving the pumps. And you have, for example, orange juice, Curaçao, Grand Marnier, water, olive oil, cherries juice, vodka, water, and air. You can make cocktails. So you can type your cocktails on your computer, and you get the cocktails. And it works well. You can control the consistency, you can control the taste, you can control the color, you can control the odor, you can control everything. So new food, it's easy to make new food. And now I'm building these home machines, and this home machine at the core, we have this one, and you can see with this small apparatus, you can make more than 500 billion different possibilities. So innovation is easy. 500 billion possibilities. And the question is, by the brain, you can imagine that they are put in front of you. So the question is not to make a new possibility. The question is to select the right one. What is the right one? Of course, they are all put on the table. If you want to select, it means that you don't need another possibility. You need something more than the possibility. And this, the more means a selection criteria. And what is the selection criteria about cooking? It's first love, then art, and finally technique. I mean, I have to explain. Imagine that I'm making a souffle. Where are you from? From where? Bulgaria. And you make souffle in Bulgaria? No. And you? You make souffle in Italy? Okay. So imagine that I make a Parmigiano souffle. Okay? So I'm whipping the eggs, I'm adding the Parmigiano, and the souffle is swollen. Okay? So if there is too much salt, it's not good. So in order to make a good souffle, I have to make the right amount of salt, of pepper, of nutmeg. So imagine now that it is a wonderful souffle, very big souffle, with a good taste, and I throw it to your face and say, eat! No, it's not good. But now, if I say, oh, okay, I know that the Italians, so this morning, I moved to Parma, I bought some Parmigiano, I cook it for you, but this is for you. What does it mean? It means I love you. And none of it is true. I mean, it is true that it means I love you, of course. So the big question about food is not technique, it's not art, it's first, I love you. Food is a social activity. We don't eat food. And now, if we understand that, we have the possibility to select. And this is why in some industries, in the food industry, they select what they call the homemade, like homemade, because it is like your mother or grandmother would cook for you. So it means I love you. So this is the criteria. love, art, and finally technique. Okay, so now I will try to skip very fast many inventions that I did, explaining some of them. Molecular cuisine, what does it mean? It does not mean molecular gastronomy, because molecular gastronomy is science. Molecular cuisine is cuisine. The words are different. In 1984, I proposed to clarify the stock using this machine that was in my lab. It is very easy, it is very fast, it is modern, and it's better than the clarification that the chefs do. Okay? This one was how to multiply the taste by food. You know, are you gourmand? Do you love food? Yes, so you are gourmand. Gourmand means you love food. Okay? So if you love food, you probably love new taste. Okay? With this small bulb, it is called a decanting bulb, it's very easy to make new taste. Imagine that you put a liquid, for example, wine. Imagine that you put oil. You shake, the odorant molecule of wine will move there. You open the tap at the bottom, you will recover wine without some molecules, but oil plus some other molecules. So you change the taste, and you make two tastes instead of one. So very easy. By the way, you can make it with just a pot of jam, and you shake and you pour. But this one is more convenient. This one is this machine is a very cheap machine. There is a vibration at the tip, and this vibration is ultrasonic. You can make an emulsion. So imagine that you put a bowl with egg yolk, vinegar, and oil. In some seconds, you get a mayonnaise. So imagine that I have an industry. I would never allow the technician in my industry to whip the mayonnaise, because you can make it in some seconds. So this is new tools in order to make all dishes. Okay. This one is very popular all over the world. Are there Spanish guys there? People from Spain? No? Somebody? Okay. Spain is very active in molecular cuisine, and they use, now they use this machine. It is low temperature cooking. You put a meat, and you cook at low temperature, and the meat is very tender, very soft. You don't lose juice, so you get more money, more tenderness, and more taste. Low temperature cooking. By the way, if you don't have this machine, you can cook in a dishwasher. Because in a dishwasher, the temperature is very low, so you put your fish or eggs or meat in the dishwasher, you clean the dishes, but at the same time you cook. So you don't spend energy. Okay? Sorry? Yeah, you have to try and get sure. Sorry? No, but of course you have to put your, imagine that you are cooking some salmon, for example. You put the salmon in a plastic bag, and you close the plastic bag, of course, because if you have the soap, the taste of soap is not very good. But it was very well. Please, if you try, make it first with an egg. With an egg. And it's in the next session that I will show the picture of an egg that is being cooked as an Iweek. If you are from Asia, in Asia, some people there cook they call that omsen tamago. Omsen tamago are eggs that are cooked at low temperature. Tamago, yes. Okay. Now, of course, we can avoid this thing, it's not so good. Oh, by the way, here it is. By the way, what do eggs cook? This is a question. In 1987, I asked the question, why do egg whites cook? And the theory was the following. In an egg white, you have proteins and water, and when you cook, it means that the protein, I have to make the experiment. Please, can you coil like me? Okay. So you are a protein, and I'm a protein. Okay? No, not you, it would be better. You don't coil. So you don't coil either. You don't coil, we coil. So we are two proteins, and she's a water molecule, okay? So when you eat some food, the protein uncoil. Please uncoil. Okay. Take my arm there and give me your hand there. Okay. And take your arm. Okay. When the protein uncoil, they stick. Okay? But if we stick it means that you make a solid. And the water molecule is trapped inside the solid. So you make a gel. So this was the theory. This theory is wrong. And in 1987, I discovered that indeed you have many kinds of proteins. So it means at 61, some proteins coagulate. It is very, very soft. At 70, some other proteins add. And when you have two nets instead of one, it's more firm. And this is the result. This is an egg that has been cooked for 1 day at 65. It is only a question of temperature, not a question of time. And you see, the egg at 65, and probably other. Now, other invention, overnight of chocolate, king-size sauce, cheese en fleurage, rose flour, another one. How to innovate? Please have culture. You look, this one is a staircase from Escher. Escher is a wonderful painter, and you see these guys are moving up and up and up and up and up and up and up. And the other row is going down and down and down. Of course, it is an illusion. Some years ago, a friend of mine called Risset, does someone have a connection to internet, please? Yes? Can you type, please, Risset? Who is having a connection? You have a connection to internet? Can you type on Google Risset, R-I-S-S-E-T? You have the sound on your computer? You have a sound on microphone? Yeah. So you type Risset, staircase, and probably you will get something. You have something? You can also add Shepard, S-H-E-P-A-R-D. And there is probably a Shepard music that you can, yes? Can you make it loud? Can we hear something? No? No, it's not the talk. Ça marche pas? Oh. Ready? No? Why? Are you on Wikipedia? Ah. Please hear now. You see, like the staircase, the sound is going down and down. And you can get this down for hours. And you could make the same on the reverse. So the idea is the following. Imagine that you can make it as a picture. Imagine that you make it as a sound. Can you make it as a taste? Can you imagine something where the salt taste would be bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger? And the answer is yes. And it is very easy. And it's the same question than with the Shepard, and more or less everything lies in this small idea, the same than here. Okay. Imagine that you have this note there, and at the same time you have this one. Of course, you would have another one here, another one. It's how do you put that in English? In Dutch we say do, but in English? C. So you have a C, 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 C. Now imagine that you are moving the notes with your computer so that after some time you get this new picture. But imagine that here the intensity is 1 and is 1 and is 0.1 and is 0.1. But imagine that when you are decreasing here, you are reducing the intensity so that at the end you have 1, and you have 0.1. In this case, you would have exactly the same sound after one cycle. The same for sweet taste or for salty taste. So it's very easy to use something from another field to put it back in your field. So innovation is easy. you just look outside. But in order to look outside, you need some culture. And culture means art, generally. Art, technique, anything. Okay? So this is a possibility. Another one, just to show that culture is important. I had a passion for l'Iliade et l'Odyssée, you know, the story from Homer. And this guy is Goethe. Is someone German there? No? Yes. So you know Goethe, Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. Yeah. And Goethe had a friend who was Schiller, Friedrich Schiller. And these guys, these two young guys, were writing letters to one another. And they were analyzing Homer. What they discovered that the epic stories are characterized by the way that you delay. You have to delay the hero. So imagine that Ulysses is in Troy, at the end of the war, and he wants to get back in Ithaca, the small island. So he takes his boat, and suddenly he stops in a country where people are using cocaine or heroin or drugs. So most of his friends are completely out, and Ulysses said, what should I do? Should I leave them, or I want to go back? So finally he leaves them. So he takes his boat, and finally he arrives in a place where there is the Cyclopus with only one eye. And the Cyclopus is delaying. So he's late and late and late and late, and after 20 years he's back. And 20 years means 1,000 pages of story. So if you want to make a story, please delay your hero. Okay? What does it mean in food? It means that we could tell a better story if we delay the consumer. So let's do it. Here is a plate that you get in front of you at the restaurant. So it is closed, so you cannot touch it first. So it's delayed. Suddenly, the waiter takes the lid out of it. So you get the plate. Okay, wonderful. But you cannot eat it, because the waiter, another one, is coming and pouring some sauce. What you don't know at that time is the sauce is making the dish, of course, so you eat the dish. When it is finished, the waiter comes and takes this part, and below there is a second dish. And the second dish, the sauce of the second dish, is made of the sauce of the first, plus the juice of the dish. So artistically, it's very complicated to create. It's very funny, and this is epic cooking. So just translate into your field something outside, and this is the 1K of innovation. Of course, you can use new techniques, for example, with new gelling agents, alginate, agar-agar, and so on. You can make, these are not pearls, they are like salmon eggs, but they are done from orange juice, for example. Or you can make spaghetti. These are spaghetti of tomato. It was impossible to do before. Now, with a new gelling agent, it's very easy. So you have a new tool, you make something new. Ah, this one, I can make the experiment, I hope. No, not this one. Here it is. The question is the following. Imagine that I have oil. You know that most essential oils, when you have the odor of some fruit or flour, etc., you have essential oils. Essential oils are very active, very powerful molecules that have a wonderful taste. These oils are like oil, that they are not soluble into water. So the question is how to make some odors in a liquid, because most foods are liquids. How is it possible to make oil or essential oil into water? Generally, when you just pour the oil, it floats at the surface, it's not all right. So this is an experiment. We have to ask the question, how is it possible to put this oil inside the food, not at the top? Okay, you know about ethanol. Ethanol is very popular at the end of the week at ESSEC. I hope that you are not doing binge, how do you say binge? Binge drinking? Binge drinking. Anyway, ethanol is a wonderful molecule because first, it is soluble into water. You see, it can dissolve very, very well. But imagine that I would dissolve the essential oil into ethanol. Okay? I dissolve. Okay. Now, if I put the ethanol inside water, what would be the result? Let's look. The result is here. I will just put some solution. Here it is. And you have the turbidity. There are billions of oil droplets, and they are perfectly stable. And indeed, it is like ouzo in Greece, or pastis in France, or arak in Turkey. And now you generalize a story that has been done traditionally. But now you can decide for the taste you need in food. So imagine that now, instead of using fruit and vegetable, you would a solution of this one is kumaric aldehyde, wonderful cinnamon taste. You just would be able to put it in water. And remember that most food is water. Pierre Gagnère is doing a dish with this idea. So for now, 10 years, I'm giving to Pierre Gagnère one invention per month, and Pierre Gagnère is going to use them in order to make new dishes. So you see, innovation is nothing. There is a question of art, there is a question of invention, and then is innovation something that sells well, or is it different? I don't know. But you see, the invention is easy. What I can tell you also to see how it is strange, this question of innovation. You will go in the industry. In the industry, everybody, when you say creativity or innovation, as the industry, you say, wow, this is what we need, because we are going to sell. Okay. But it is not really true. You know, I've been trying to invent very important things. And one morning, Pierre Gagnère told me the question, Hervé, you know, I'm very annoyed because I'm producing meat. This is meat, imagine, in the kitchen. Now the waiter has to take meat and to put it on the plate of the consumer, the guest. But here, Pierre Gagnère is adding some salt. And this salt is a crispy salt, Maldon salt, fleur de sel, and so on. And when the waiter is taking the food here, in the meantime, the salt is drawing the water and there is no grain any longer, no crystal. So the question of Pierre was, how is it possible to keep the crispiness? The idea is zero. You put salt into oil, because oil will be protecting the salt, and it works. And for Pierre Gagnère, this is my most important invention. Pierre Gagnère has restaurants in Las Vegas, Dubai, Hong Kong, Moscow, London, Paris, Berlin, Courchevel, and other places. And for him, this is my most important invention. For me, it's zero. There will be no Nobel Prize for that. Okay? So you see, the question of usefulness and the question of intellectual principle are completely perpendicular, not autonomous. They have nothing to do in common. And sometimes you don't need a big academic activity. You need a solution. Okay? By the way, this is another challenge for ESSEC students. Are you able to make floating cubes in your cocktail? Generally, if you make cubes, they will sink. Are you able to make floating cubes? By the way, this was a challenge that I made for the bartenders, how to make a cocktail with more than 3 layers. I invented a cocktail with 10 layers. Very easy. You can find that on internet, it's free. Icy salt. Unfortunately, there is no patent. You know icy sugar, very thin powder. I invented years ago icy salt. You just grind salt and you get icy salt. No patent. You could sell it. And on your French fries, you have the right amount of... Generally, when you have a bag of French fries, you put salt and everything is going down. With icy salt, everything is sticking on the surface. So you have the right amount of salt. Liquid nitrogen, very fashionable. You have seen people at the TV making ice cream. It is a long story. I proposed that in 1984, so it's very, very old. So it makes finer crystals, it's much better. It's based on an idea that I had when I was 6 years old. It makes a better taste. And you see Ferran Adrià in Spain, Emil Jung, Eston Blumenthal in England. These people are stars in their countries, but the idea is old, and it's funny, it's entertaining, and with a new tool you can make new things. For example, imagine that you whip an egg white. Imagine that you put some sugar. So imagine that you put some taste another. And suddenly you take a teaspoon of this and you put it into liquid nitrogen. Suddenly you will get an icy crust, and inside it will be very soft. I call that a frozen flake. And it's a new dish. It can be very good, the taste is good. By the way, this is from from America. These are dishes prepared by a friend of mine in Chicago. There are layers and layers and layers and layers. Some are liquid, some are solid. You can do that with liquid nitrogen. You cannot do liquid if you don't have this product. So you see, new techniques, new products. Now, other invention that you see now is boring because you have to match. Another invention, another one. This one was just to make a failed sauce and to filter or to distillate. And this is distillation, and we serve the sauce, the failed sauce. It was a failed sauce, curdled, awful. We served it in a cognac glass near the plate. And it was a new dish, nobody did it before. And the taste was very original. Now, using syringes in order to inject some brandy inside the chicken. Very good. This is what I was doing years ago. Geoffroy, another one. You know, this is meat, remember meat. Fibers full of water and proteins. What you see are the cut fibers. This is called the collagen. You know, some ladies, when they get old, they inject some collagen to be firmer. Okay? This is collagen, the red part. Is it possible to make artificial meat? Artificial meat. So you see, people will be upset. Artificial meat. Are we cultivating the meat of human bodies like in Soylent Green picture? No. We are doing artificial meat. How is it possible? We need fibers. They have to be glued together, and inside we have to put water and protein. Here is an artificial meat. There are tubes, noodles. They are noodles, but they are tubes, and they are full of meat, water and proteins. So it is an artificial meat. So we should not upset by artificial meat, of course. Is it possible? Oh, this is another artificial meat, by the way. These are green beans. There is a small hole inside, and it is full of foie gras. It is an artificial meat by Pierre Gagnier. Artificial vegetable. Is it possible to make an artificial? Let's analyze. We have bags full of water, and they are glued together. Here is a small bunch of bags glued together, and they are full of orange juice. So this is an artificial orange. You have to tell me when it's time, because I don't know that. 10 minutes, okay, of course, we have to be done. So, again, new dishes, and 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 new dishes. And now, the new dishes, but this will be explained at the other session. Fortunately, there is a film, so you can get it later. Let's come back to the idea. When you use words, when you make words running like a machine, then you can make an infinite number of combinations, and you can make new things. And this is the same idea of Lavoisier. When you have an algebra, a formalism, you can make new things. I'm moving to the next. I'm not explaining how with an egg you can make a million new possibilities, because they are all new. There are too many. You see, a Geoffroy, a Thénard, an Olive, a Lavoisier, a Iweek, a Gibbs, a Vauquelin, and so on, and so on, and so on, and so on, and a Faraday okay, let's move to that. We forget now about molecular cuisine. Molecular cuisine means new tools, new ingredients, and method. Okay? Here is new molecular cuisine. This is a dinner of molecular cuisine in Hong Kong. You see a plate, and many new dishes, completely new. The mummy, again the mummy, then the bird, caviar, it's not caviar. Balancing meat. I'm putting some water in my garden. It's not a garden, it's a dish. The pound, under the sea, enlargement, and again, new dishes. I'm going down in my garden, and the mist disappears slowly. Alaska meat, I don't remember the name, coconut, bed and breakfast, the apple, candy sugar, the makeup. You can eat everything except the stone, okay? And you see, there are too many new things, so it's not very funny. Now we have to move to the future. Note by note cuisine in 10 minutes. Remember that it is cuisine. It's not chemistry, it's not physics, it's not science. It is cuisine, or cooking. It is not technology, it is cooking. Cooking is technique, art, and love. It is not molecular cuisine. It's something new. What is it? The idea is the story is the following. Some years ago, my grandfather was distillating plums and making some brandy. He was putting some wood inside the bottle because he was not putting the barrel outside. When you put wood and ethanol, you get the wood contains lignin, and you get a lot of aromatic compounds, vanillin and so on. Vanillin, you know vanillin. Vanillin is not vanilla. Vanillin is a wonderful small odorant molecule. This is pure vanillin. The price is almost zero, and this will be enough for 10 days. In this amphitheater, it is wonderful odor. The price is zero. So in all your brandy, please add some vanillin because it makes a wonderful sensation. Okay. But you can make the same with other compounds. For example, with this one, you can have a wonderful muddy taste of a good whiskey, para-ethyl-phenol. So the idea is now to generalize. And in 1994, I proposed a generalization, and I dreamed the day of when we are cooking with compounds, pure compounds. No meat, no fish, no vegetable, no fruits, only compound. And indeed, it is there today. I will skip this old cuisine because it's completely useless. I know that all these products are mixture of compounds, so instead of using mixture, we use pure compounds. And here is the result. The result is here. You play with compounds, note by note. This is, of course, there are many more possibilities. It's more difficult. The compounds, water, of course, water is always. Other compounds, tartric acid, very elegant acidity, glucose, fructose, glycerol. All these compounds are in food, so let's use them. So you have many compounds. It's very easy to do. And this is now the first dish of the history of humankind made entirely from compound by Pierre Gagnère. It was done in 2001. And since that time, we had many others. So we had in Alsace, we had in Paris, we had in Bangkok, we had in Dublin. You have dinner full of dishes made from compound. Sometimes they mix with a shrimp, or they mix in the next dish, they will mix, you will see, with a mushroom, for example. It is completely useless, because we can make a mushroom taste if we want. We can, you see, it's cooking. It's haute cuisine, really haute cuisine. It can be wonderful. Is it dangerous? This is the question. If you don't put any dangerous compounds, there will be no danger. Okay? So is it good? It is good if you like it. But good does not mean anything. Is it beautiful? It is beautiful if you like it. Is it funny? Look at these two chefs. They are playing with food. Wonderful to play with food. And they are meilleure cuisine France. You see, they are one of the best chefs of France. It's a pastry chef, this one. For the International Year of Chemistry, we had a whole dinner to ministers, Nobel Prize winners, and so on. This is a new dish, the idea of an oyster, voleur sauce with a soufflé. At the right, this is real meat, this awful thing. This is note by note, much better. You see, it can be awful with tradition. By the way, remember that slavery was traditional. Tradition is not a guarantee that it is good. Okay? This is what the dessert. And again, many new dishes. It will be too long to explain in 10 minutes. But you will hear about that now, from now on, extensively. All the radio and TVs are explaining what is not by not cuisine. So please be ready with not by not cuisine. Molecular cuisine is over. Traditional cuisine is more or less old-fashioned, and you will get new products in your plate, desserts, drinks. It can be beautiful sometimes, it can be very strange, it can be interesting, it can be what you like, it can be the taste you like, it can be the odor you like, it can be the consistency you like. This is a dessert, for example. This is a flaming orange. It's not an orange, of course. There are new, and the best chefs of the world are very interesting because there is no artistic proposal at that time about cooking. Just to finish now with this picture, or I could add more, of course, I could add many more. I could discuss the content, the apparent, everything. Please, I will be happy to give you the full PowerPoint and even to explain longer on the internet. I will do that. The idea politically is to enrich the farmer, but it will be too long to explain. This is very important that we don't rely on a poor population. So we have to enrich the farmer, and not by own cuisine, it's a cuisine that is based on the idea. Enrich the farmer. Otherwise, consistency is easy. We can make a machine. We can do many things. If you work, not just if you snap your fingers, only if you work hard. What are you going to eat tomorrow? I don't know. Some species are disappearing. Some people cannot eat scorpions or snakes. Some people cannot eat the brain of an ape in the skull. The price of energy is rising. Be ready. It will be rising again and again. We are many people on the earth. Is there chemistry in the kitchen? Never. Because cooking is cooking, and science is science. And finally, let's fight tradition when tradition is not good. Let's make new things. Don't be afraid of pills. It is impossible to have pills in your food, even of these people saying that it's good. The biggest scandal of the 21st century are merchants of fear. When you hear at the radio that food is poison, it is not true. And some people are selling TV and radio and paper and in journals to tell you that. It is not true. We are fed up. We have a big stomach. We eat too much. This is the big question. We have to make more sport and eat less. And we have to think about what we eat. We are to ask the question, why are we still eating chickens, as in the Middle Age? There is no legitimacy. Why are we using pans? Why are you making barbecues in spite of the fact that you know that barbecues are full of cancerogenic products? You do that every summer in Italy, everybody in your country, everybody in your country, everybody grilling. You do that, and then you want to avoid pesticides, but you're crazy. We are crazy. So we have to think about what we eat, and finally, just to finish on a beautiful note, I have to explain the strategy to put this note by note cuisine for all the population. The strategy is the following. Between 0 and 20 years old, people are at school. So I'm trying to introduce new program at school. Between 20 and 100, they are outside school. If you give the potato to the king, the French public is the potato. If you teach the students, then they will make new dishes. So this is a strategy. I can give you my strategy, and I take the bet that in less than 10 years from now, there will be a big trend in the world about not by not cuisine. By chef first, and then at the public, in homes. Please, if you want to innovate, don't forget to think about that, to have a method, to work, not to think that it will come like things that will flow. Certain individuals will be ready to creativity or innovation. No, it's not true. It's work only. Please don't forget that we are a social species. We have to be happy together. We need conviviality, happiness. And finally, please, if you have questions, because we are just straight with the time, don't forget to ask the questions. I will always answer, and I can even tell you better, if you ask me a question, I can tell you how to get rich in order to use note by note cuisine. I have no time to do it now, but thank you for your attention, as I said, and please celebrate chemistry.